Welcome to the Whispering Cottage Tales channel. Fog has settled over London like a soft blanket, muffling the sounds of the great city as midnight approaches. You walk slowly down a narrow cobblestone lane in Bloomsbury, your footsteps echoing softly in the stillness. Gas lamps glow like pale moons through the mist, their light painting golden halos in the darkness. The air is cool and damp, carrying with it the scent of coal smoke, damp stone, and somewhere, just faintly, the sweetness of night-blooming jasmine from a hidden garden. You've been walking for some time, though you're not entirely sure why or from where you started. It doesn't matter. Something has called you here, to this quiet corner of the city in the year 1889. To this particular street where the buildings lean close together like old friends sharing secrets. And then you see it, a shop front unlike any other. The windows glow with the warmest amber light, and unlike the other businesses on the street, which are shuttered and dark at this late hour, this establishment is clearly open. Above the door, a sign painted in elegant gold lettering reads, Thornbury and Sons, letter writers and scribes, established 1802. But there's something else, something painted smaller beneath. Night services available for those who cannot sleep. Your hand reaches for the door handle almost of its own accord. A small bell chimes sweetly as you push the door open and step inside, and immediately you're enveloped in warmth and the most wonderful smell. Paper and ink, leather and beeswax, aged wood, and something else. Something indefinable that speaks of quiet dedication and careful craft. The shop is long and narrow, with a high ceiling that disappears into shadow above. The walls are lined floor to ceiling with cubbyholes and shelves, each one filled with papers of every conceivable type. Cream and white, pale blue and soft pink, some with watermarks visible when held to the light, others thick as cardstock. Rolls of parchment stand in tall brass holders. Boxes of envelopes are stacked neatly, organized by size and color. But it's the desk at the back of the shop that draws your attention. There, illuminated by 3 oil lamps that cast a pool of golden light, sits an elderly gentleman working with absolute concentration. He must be 70 at least, perhaps more, with a full head of white hair that catches the lamplight like spun silver. He wears a burgundy smoking jacket over a white shirt, and perched on his nose are a pair of gold-rimmed spectacles. In his hand is a pen, not a common steel nib, but something finer, something that moves across the paper with the grace of a dancer. He doesn't look up as you approach, but his voice, when he speaks, is warm and cultured, touched with an accent that speaks of education and refinement. Come in. Don't stand in the doorway, letting in the fog. There's a chair just there. Yes, that one. Make yourself comfortable. I'll be with you in just a moment. I'm nearly finished with this particular sentence, and it's always best not to interrupt a sentence mid-flow, don't you think? You settle into the indicated chair, a comfortable wingback upholstered in worn green leather, and watch as he completes his work. His hand moves steadily across the page, forming letters so beautiful they might be artwork. Each curve is perfect, each line precisely weighted. This is not mere writing. This is calligraphy elevated to the realm of art. Finally, with a small flourish, he completes the page and sets down his pen. He removes his spectacles, polishes them with a silk handkerchief from his pocket, and then turns his full attention to you. His eyes are a striking pale blue, clear and kind, with deep smile lines at the corners. there now," he says with evident satisfaction. "Welcome to my establishment. I am Cornelius Thornberry, proprietor of this shop and practitioner of the epistolary arts for, let me see, 53 years come this December. And you, my dear friend, are someone who cannot sleep. It's not a question." He states it as simple fact, and you realize that yes, he's absolutely right. You cannot sleep. Perhaps you haven't slept well in days, weeks even. The world outside has been too loud, too demanding, too full of concerns and worries that chase each other through your mind like squirrels in an endless circle. Quite common, I'm afraid. Mr. Thornberry continues, rising from his chair with only a slight stiffness that speaks of his years. This modern age, electric lights, railways, telegrams bringing news from across the world in mere seconds. It's all rather overwhelming, isn't it? The mind doesn't know when to rest anymore. It keeps spinning and spinning, like a top that no one thought to stop. He moves to a small sideboard against the wall, where a kettle sits warming over a spirit lamp. "Tea?" he asks, already preparing 2 cups without waiting for your answer. I find chamomile particularly soothing at this hour, with just a touch of honey. The bees that made this honey lived in a garden in Hampstead, among the lavender and roses. You can taste the flowers in it, I think. He brings the tea on a small silver tray, along with a plate of biscuits. Simple shortbread, homemade by the look of them. The cup he hands you is fine china, delicate enough that you can see the shadow of your fingers through it when you hold it to the light. "Now then," he says, settling back into his chair behind the desk, his own teacup cradled in both hands. "Tell me why you've come. Not everyone finds their way to my door at midnight. This shop has a way of appearing only to those who truly need it, you see. So what is it? A letter you need written? A message you cannot quite find the words for? A thought that needs to be set down on paper before it drives you to distraction? You find yourself speaking, words flowing more easily than they have in weeks. You tell him about the thoughts that keep you awake, the worries that seem so large in the darkness of night. Perhaps it's a letter you need to write, but haven't found the courage for. Perhaps it's something you need to say to someone who is far away, or someone who has passed beyond the reach of ordinary correspondence. Perhaps it's simply a feeling you need to express, to get out of your heart and mind and onto paper where it can exist outside of you. Mr. Thornberry listens with complete attention, never interrupting, never judging. He simply nods occasionally, his blue eyes steady on your face, creating a space of such safety and acceptance that you find yourself saying things you didn't know you needed to say. When you finally fall silent, he sets down his teacup and steeples his fingers beneath his chin, thinking. "I understand," he says finally. "Oh yes, I understand completely. The heart has its own language, doesn't it? And sometimes the words we speak aloud aren't quite adequate to express what we truly mean. That's where the written word comes in. There's something about seeing your thoughts laid out in ink on paper, something that makes them real and manageable, something that lets you examine them calmly from a little distance." He turns to his desk and begins selecting materials with the care of an artist choosing paints. "We'll use this paper, I think. A lovely cream-laid paper, heavy enough to have substance, but not so heavy as to be presumptuous. And this ink, do you see how it's not quite black? It's the deepest midnight blue, the color of the sky just before dawn. Some call it twilight ink. I make it myself from an old recipe that uses indigo and just a whisper of violet." He selects a pen from a collection arranged in a brass stand, holding it up to the light and examining it with a critical eye. This one, I think. The nib is flexible enough to allow for beautiful variation in line weight, but not so flexible as to be uncontrollable. A good pen becomes an extension of one's own hand, you know. It should feel natural, like breathing. Then he does something unexpected. Instead of positioning the paper in front of himself, he slides it across the desk toward you. He places the pen beside it, along with a small crystal bottle of the twilight ink. "Now then," he says gently, "I want you to write." You start to protest. Surely that's his job. Surely that's why you've come to a professional letter writer. But he holds up a hand, smiling. I know. You think you cannot write the way I do, with all that flourish and precision. But that's not what matters. Not really. What matters is that the hand doing the writing is your hand. These are your words, your thoughts, your feelings. They need to flow from your own pen, not mine. I'm here to help, to guide, to offer suggestions if you need them. But the writing must be yours. He settles back in his chair, his manner utterly patient. Begin however you like. There's no wrong way to start. Some people begin with dear, followed by a name. Others simply start with what they need to say. There's no one watching over your shoulder. No one who will judge if you cross out a word or begin again. This is just you, and the paper, and the truth of what you feel. Your hand trembles slightly as you pick up the pen. It's heavier than you expected, beautifully balanced, with a smooth wooden barrel that feels warm against your fingers. You dip the nib into the ink. Not too deep, Mr. Thornberry murmurs, just a small dip, and touch it to the paper. The ink flows out in a line of deepest blue. You form your first word, and then another. Your handwriting is nothing like Mr. Thornberry's elegant script. It's messier, more hesitant, but he makes a small sound of approval. "There you are," he says softly. "There you are. Keep going." And so, you write. At first the words come slowly, each one requiring thought and effort. But gradually, as the pen moves across the paper, something begins to shift. The rhythm of writing, dip, stroke, becomes almost meditative. The scratch of the nib on the paper is oddly soothing, and the words begin to flow more freely. Mr. Thornberry is silent, but his presence is comforting. Occasionally he refills your teacup. Once, he quietly places a fresh sheet of paper beside you when you near the bottom of the first. He tends the lamps, trimming the wicks so the light remains steady and golden. Outside, the city sleeps. The fog presses against the windows like a living thing. But here in this small pool of light, you are safe and warm and deeply focused on the task at hand. You write about things you didn't know you needed to say. Words you've held inside for too long spill out onto the paper in midnight blue ink. Perhaps you're writing to someone you love, someone you miss, someone you need to forgive or be forgiven by. Perhaps you're writing to your younger self or to your future self. Perhaps you're simply writing to the universe, putting your thoughts and feelings out into the world so they no longer have to rattle around inside your head. Time passes strangely. It might be minutes or hours. The clock on the wall ticks softly, but you don't count its chimes. You're in a space outside of normal time, a pocket of stillness and peace that exists only here, only now. Finally, your hand slows. You've said what you needed to say. The words are all there on the page, or pages now. you realize. You've filled 3 sheets with your thoughts, your words, your heart. You set down the pen and flex your fingers, which have cramped slightly from the unfamiliar effort. Mr. Thornbury leans forward, his eyes twinkling. "Well done," he says warmly. "Very well done indeed. How do you feel?" You consider the question. How do you feel? Lighter somehow. The thoughts that were tangled in your mind have been sorted out, laid down in orderly lines on paper where you can see them clearly. They haven't disappeared. They're still there, still real, but they no longer seem quite so overwhelming. They've been acknowledged, expressed, given form and substance outside of yourself. Better, you tell him, and you realize it's true. "Good, good," he says with deep satisfaction. That's the magic of the written word, you see. It takes what's internal and makes it external. It transforms the invisible into the visible. And in doing so, it gives us power over our thoughts, rather than allowing our thoughts to have power over us. He rises and moves to a wooden filing cabinet in the corner, extracting a large envelope of heavy paper. "Now then, what shall we do with this letter?" Some people choose to send their letters, to post them to the person they were written for, whether that person is across the city or across the veil that separates this world from the next. Others prefer to keep their letters private, to seal them away, or even to burn them, releasing their words to the smoke in the air. The choice is entirely yours. You think about this. What do you want to do with these words you've written? Mr. Thornbury seems to read your mind. "There's no rush to decide," he says gently. "You can take the letter with you, sleep on it, decide in the morning, or you can leave it here with me for safekeeping. I have a special cabinet for letters that are waiting to be sent, waiting to be decided upon, waiting for the right moment. Some have been waiting for years. Others find their purpose within days. Time moves differently for letters, I've found." He slides the pages into the envelope and seals it with a small amount of deep red wax, pressing his signet ring into it to create an impression. Then he writes your name on the front in his exquisite script, each letter a small work of art. "There," he says, handing it to you. "Your letter, your words, your truth set down in ink and paper. Whatever you decide to do with it, know that the act of writing it has already done its work. You've taken what was chaotic and made it ordered. You've given voice to what was silent. That in itself is powerful magic. You hold the envelope in your hands, feeling the weight of it, the reality of it. Your words, your Mr. thoughts. Thornbury begins to tidy his desk and reel, capping the ink bottle, wiping the pen nib clean with a soft cloth, arranging his papers. "The night is growing late," he says, though not unkindly. "Or perhaps I should say early. It's well past 2 o'clock by now. You should head home, get some rest. I think you'll find sleep comes more easily now." You realize he's right. The restless energy that brought you here has dissipated. You feel tired now, but it's a good tiredness. The tiredness that comes after completing meaningful work, not the exhaustion of anxiety and worry. "How much do I owe you?" you ask, reaching for your purse. Mr. Thornbury waves a hand dismissively. "No charge for midnight visitors," he says firmly. "This is my service to the city, you see. During the day, I write letters for those who need my professional skills, business correspondence, legal documents, formal invitations. That pays the bills quite nicely. But at night I'm here for those who cannot sleep, those who are troubled, those who need to write but don't quite know how. That's different. That's not about money. That's about something more important. He walks you to the door, moving slowly but steadily. "Come back if you need to," he says as he opens it. The fog outside has thinned slightly, and you can see the first faint hint of gray in the eastern sky. Dawn is still hours away, but its promise is there. My door is always open to those who need it, and you can always find me here between midnight and dawn. Sleep well, my dear friend. May your dreams be peaceful, and your rest be deep. The bell chimes sweetly as you step out into the night. The cobblestones are damp with fog, and the air is cool against your face. You turn to wave to Mr. Thornberry, but the shop is already fading somehow, its windows growing dimmer, as if it's slipping back into whatever magical space it occupies when it's not needed. You walk home slowly, the letter tucked safely in your pocket. The city is quiet around you. A cat slips across the street, disappearing into shadow. Somewhere, a night watchman calls the hour. Your footsteps echo softly. When you reach your rooms, you light a single candle and prepare for bed. The letter sits on your bedside table, and just knowing it's there, knowing that your thoughts and worries have been caught and contained, brings comfort. You slip between cool sheets, and your head sinks into the pillow with a sigh of relief. Sleep comes quickly, rising up like a gentle tide. Your last thought is of Mr. Thornberry in his shop, pen in hand, writing beautiful words through the quiet hours of night, helping lost souls find their way to peace and rest. And somewhere in the fog-wrapped streets of London, in a shop that exists in the spaces between waking and sleeping, the lamps burn steadily on, waiting for the next person who cannot sleep, who needs to write, who needs the gentle magic of putting pen to paper. The midnight letter, writer of London, keeps his vigil, as he has for 53 years, as he will for many years more, writing words, healing hearts, one letter at a time. Sleep now, sleep peacefully. Your words have been written, your heart has been heard. All is well.